Okay, king also has another move, and this is the second most difficult piece to learn because he has a weird move also, and that's called castling. Okay, during the course of the game, let's say these pieces are moved out of the way. Here, you know what? I'll do it on this side so you guys can see better. Okay, so during the course of the game, these pieces are moved out of the way, and there's an open space. Okay, you can only do this if neither the rook nor the king has moved, and you can do this on either side. It's called castling, and what that is a king will move over 2 spaces to the left or to the right, and then the rook will be placed on the opposite side of the king. It's a protection maneuver, and this is the only time that it's able to be done. And that's when, again, like I said, the king has not yet moved, and the rook, whatever rook you decide to do with it on the left or to the right, has not moved. There's no pieces in between, and also there's no pieces that because I kind of jumped ahead of myself here. I got to explain this too. The king cannot move into attack. So if a square is being attacked, this moves diagonal. I'll explain the bishop's move diagonal. I'll explain that in a little bit. Okay, so if by moving over 2 spaces, the king will be in attack. So he's unable to do that. The only way that this castling move can be done is if there's no pieces in between. Again, either piece hasn't moved, and there's no piece attacking the squares to where the king's moving through, or the square that the king is landing to. I know it's very confusing, but it's okay. The rest of the pieces aren't nearly as difficult to learn. So you move 2 spaces over to the left or to the right, and put the rook on the opposite side. If you're over here, you'd move the king again 2 spaces to this side and put the rook on the opposite side, and that's castling. Don't be discouraged. I know. You can go over the video as much as you like, because I know some of the stuff is going to be confusing. Okay, now the next piece is the queen. We'll go over the queen's move and put her out in the middle. The queen may move in any direction, any amount of squares. Matter of fact, I'm going to take all pieces off the board just so you guys can see. So from this square, she could move either 1 space here, 2 spaces over here, or she could even move 4 spaces all the way over here. And also in any direction, like I said. So she can move left and right, up and down, or she could even move diagonally. But only in one direction on each turn. For example, on one turn, she cannot move diagonally and then go to the right or to the left. It's only in one direction. It's any direction, but only one direction at a time. So not to my right and then up. It's only one or the other. She could go either up or to the right or to the left. Okay, it's pretty simple. And also that's how she attacks. So if there's any piece that's in the way of her line of attack, either to the left or to the right, or to the up or down, or even on the diagonal, that's how she captures. She takes the square of the piece where the opponent's piece was, and now she occupies that square. She takes the piece. Okay, fairly simple. Now for the bishops. The bishops, as you see, since the bishop is on this 3rd square in on each side, either the bishop is on the black square or on the white square. Okay, the bishops can only, this is important because the bishops can only move diagonally. So wherever color the square the bishop is on in the beginning, that's what square the bishop is going to be on through the course of the whole game, because it can only move diagonal. So they call it generally referred to as the black bishop or the white bishop, even though the color's obviously white because of the square that it remains on. So the white bishop will remain on the diagonals through the course of the game. It can move any amount of squares, but only on the diagonal. And again, just like the queen, only one direction at a time. It can either go up and to the right or up and to the left, and that's it. It cannot do 2 maneuvers in once. It cannot go up to the left and then up to the right. It's only one direction, just like the queen. Okay, now, the knights. These are special, and these are because these are the only pieces that are able to jump over other pieces. Whereas, for example, say in the initial setup, the queen is behind. Let's say she's totally surrounded. Say the queen is totally surrounded by her pieces. She can't move. She is unable to jump over pieces, as are any piece. They cannot. So the knight is the only piece that, even though it may be totally surrounded, it could jump over pieces. So from here, although the knight would normally be trapped, it can move over pieces. Now, the movements of the knight are as thus. Now, this is one way easy for me to remember. Whatever color the square the knight is on, it's going to end up moving to the opposite color. Now, it's kind of hard to explain the movements of it, but it's generally referred to as an L shape or a 7 shape. So how the knight moves, it goes one square over, or I'm sorry, excuse me, one square down and 2 over, or one square up and 2 over, or 2 squares up and 1 over. It moves in an L direction, or again like a 7. So just to let you know, to where all the spaces this knight can move, I'm going to put enemy pieces on each square that this knight can move on his one turn. He can move to any of these squares. So from this space, the knight can move to any one of these squares, and that's it. But if you notice, again, like I said, he goes from the black to the white squares. All the spaces that he's able to go to is a light square. So he does the little L or little 7 shape, or however you want to refer to it as. But that's his move. So 2 squares, 1 up. 2 squares, 1 over. And that's how the knight moves. Okay, now the rooks. The rooks can move. The rooks can move either up or down, or left or right, any amount of squares. So from here, I'll just move this one off the board. So from here, he could either go 1 square, or he could go up to 7 more squares. And the same with on this side. And again, just like all the rest of the pieces, only in one direction or the other, not up and then to the left, only one direction or the other, and that's it. And also, that's how he attacks. So for example, the rook could capture this piece if you want to, or he could capture this piece, or move right next to it, what have you. And again, if he does capture, he takes the place of that piece. Okay, and that's all the pieces. Is that, wow, is it that easy? Yes, it is that easy. I know it seems difficult, but it's that easy. Now, what's the objective of the game?